Welcome to TheSeireitei, a Bleach podcast brought to you by encroachment. It's super fun for no one. And I do just want to say here that we at the Seireitei podcast don't normally support big chains, but we're willing to make an exception in this particular case. Hello, everyone. My name is Del, and this week I'm joined by Shiki.
Hello.
And Lethan.
Hey.
Whew, 2 big episodes again this week, y'all. There's so much to cover, and I'm super stoked. Do we want to jump right into those sweet summaries?
Yeah, sure. So episode 19, this episode starts on the super duper upbeat and cheerful note of Rukia Kuchiki being sentenced to death in 25 days' time. Renji has the audacity to look shocked, while Orihime and Chad are shouting in a warehouse in a bid to try and reactivate their powers. Orihime is successful after some cat coaching. Meanwhile, in the pit of despair, Ichigo's final encroachment of his soul chain leaves him almost becoming a hollow until he disappears into a city, speaks to a stranger who's upset Ichigo doesn't know his name, falls, finds a sword hilt using a fancy ribbon knowledge technique, and successfully becomes a soul reaper after shattering the hollow mask on his face.
Which you'd think would be a little contradictory, now wouldn't you? We're gonna dive into that in a huge way. But first, in episode 20, Ichimaru gains shadow. We duck briefly into Soul Society, and we meet a few more captains. We meet the captain of Squad 3 and the captain of Squad 11, just briefly, before we return to the basement of the Urahara shop. What's in a name, you might ask? A lot, apparently, if you're a Zanpakuto. Ichigo unlocks even more power by connecting a few very important dots and discovering the name of his Zanpakuto, Zangetsu, after some serious introspection, which involves a lot of falling and a lot of shady, shadowy back and forth with an old dude in torn, flowy robes that seems to be hanging out inside Ichigo's soul world. Ichigo uses his newfound abilities to knock Urahara's hat off of his head, leading Urahara to conclude that Ichigo's training is complete, for now. A little time passes, and as the rest of Karakura Town delights in summer festivities, Orihime and Chad, who have been training with Yoruichi, and Uryu, who has been training alone because he's been playing the role of the ultimate edgelord/nerd, all meet up together at the Urahara shop to infiltrate Soul Society and take the first serious steps towards rescuing their doomed friend, Rukia. So that's a lot!
That's a lot.
Yep.
So much
What
happening.
stuck out to y'all about episode 19? Where the heck do we even want to start with this?
I mean, it opens pretty much with the whole Byakuya and Rukia having that conversation, which I would just like to point out in the manga happens way later.
Oh, really?
Yeah, quite almost at what we would classify as the start of the next episode, kind of later. And I think it's just because Kubo wanted to keep a lot of those scenes together. So unlike the anime, which seems to jump from scene to scene quite a bit, all of the sort of connected pieces of the episodes are all together in the manga, or at least that was kind of how I read most of it.
Got it. Yeah.
But
I think I do appreciate that in the anime they've done a really nice job of kind of giving us these little tastes and teasers of Soul Society in between, because I would consider a lot of Ichigo's training to be the main plot point that's going on. But it's nice to be like, oh, and by the way, this is coming and this is happening. I think it does a really good job of keeping an audience's interest.
yeah, I agree. I think this is very much one of those kind of set up episodes, at least for Orihime and Chad, and for Ichigo. Well, we're learning a lot about what Urahara is willing to put Ichigo through.
So true.
But yeah, I had no major things, just sort of notice of the differences between the manga and the anime. There was nothing major stuck out to me.
Okay. Shiki, what do you think about episode 19? What jumped out at you?
This is an episode that I did not remember too well. Like, I remember the core parts of Ichigo fighting off the transforming into a hollow and getting our good old friend Zangetsu in this episode. But there were some aspects that I just completely did not recall watching through it. Like, as a new viewer and I cannot really remember too much of what happens in the future, and I feel like things will be important and brought up again in the future. We get things that kind of allude to that this isn't the first time that they have done this kind of thing, because you get like Jinta saying
Jinta knows so much.
Yeah, he knows so much about the process of becoming a hollow. It's like, are you guys experimenting on hollow in here?
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. When I was watching this, I did not remember this whatsoever. It's like watching it now, I was like, I don't remember if anything happens in the future, but you know a lot, kid.
Yeah, Ururu and Jinta are one of my favorite unresolved mysteries of the Bleachverse, to be quite frank, because they can do a lot and they know a lot, and they are clearly loved and cared for by Kisuke and Tessai.
Humans.
And we're not really given an explanation. And in a lot of ways, I like that. But this episode in particular, I thought highlighted the weirdness of it, and like not bad weird, like it's actually very wholesome weird, if that's a thing at all. I thought it was cool that it was Jinta popping down into the pit to be like, oh, are you hungry yet? Rather than Urahara. And it did allow Urahara to, like, narratively speaking, to allow it allowed Urahara to maintain some level of mystery and possibly also distance. Like, it's possible that Urahara wasn't particularly interested in watching somebody transform into a hollow right before his eyes for reasons.
Yeah, I think they're really good points, actually, Dale. And I never really thought about it, but you're right. Now that I am thinking about it, Jinta does seem to know so much more than I gave him credit for, I guess. I just kind of
Right?
look away when he's on the screen sometimes, because I'm like, reading ahead in the manga, and it's Jinta's
Oh my
on
God.
screen, whatever.
I super can't, because I can't get the idea of Urahara and Tessai as this like beautiful domestic partnership with a wholesome family out of my head. So every
So
time
cute.
I know, it's really cute because, like, I don't know, functionally speaking, it's not dissimilar from that. It seems like Urahara and Tessai run the shop nicely together. It's a partnership in some capacity. And then they have two cute kids who can do a lot of cool stuff. And I'm a sucker for domestic things. So even when it's things like Jinta being like, uh-oh, you're gonna die. Uh-oh, you're gonna become a hollow. Like, nothing domestic or cute about that. But I'm still like, oh, what a happy family all the time.
See, I thought the exact same thing until they started trying to spit on Ichigo.
That's such a sibling move, though. I feel
I
like,
was so disgusted. I was like,
yeah.
That's honestly something my siblings and I would probably be like if we were in that situation, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say my brothers and I would have a field day with some of that, I'm sure.
Man, Americans are weird.
We do have our quirks, and some are nicer than others. I will grant you that.
My only other real, like, kind of like just independent note before dub differences is that one thing I noticed is when Ichigo got back and broke his hollow mask. Did you guys notice that he kind of like shifted it to the side, kind of like that stereotypical Japanese festival wearing a mask on the side of your head?
Yeah. Yes, I did actually.
I tried to look it up to see if there's any cultural significance to that, because you see it everywhere in pretty much any Japanese festival episode. And I can't find if there's any cultural significance or if that's just a thing there. But yeah, I just found it interesting that he treated it kind of like a just regular festival mask and just put it to the side of his head, which I thought was kind of cute in its own way.
Yeah. There's that, and then also from an imagery standpoint, I kind of viewed that as like, I was gonna say like the white hat cowboy, but it could be the black hat cowboy too, like facing off against his enemy in the desert, like fingers twitching, and then like, let me just tilt my hat a little bit. And knowing that a lot of like spaghetti westerns drew inspiration from old samurai movies anyway, I wonder if that's maybe just a visual parallel that Kubo popped in there, perhaps deliberately, but perhaps without realizing it, because that imagery is so strong.
Yeah, that could be.
Yeah,
Ichigo as a cowboy is something I need now, side note.
Someday I'll write
I've never wanted a Wild West AU, but now I kind of do.
Well, to be fair, we've got the gift exchange coming up in our couple of months, so for Christmas, so you can put that down.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna request to write an AU. I don't write enough AUs, man. Oh my god, I'm so stoked now. I don't even care what. Like, as long as it's not a coffee shop, give it to me. Ugh.
That
No
was
shade to
like
coffee
the-
shops. I just don't want to write that.
That was like the most fucking common one that people were putting down for the last gift exchange. It was like coffee
I
shop near you. I'm like, oh,
know.
come on, be more creative than that. Anyway.
My recipient suggested that, and then I did not do that.
Quite right. It's like and I've wrote about 2 or 3 of them, but I'm also now like, I'm done. Right, that's enough. I've had enough.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Anyway.
No, I'm way more interested in like spaghetti western, sword and sorcery, anything but coffee shop. Honestly, I'll do college, I guess, but whatever.
Yeah. Do you guys want me to quickly jump over the manga and anime differences? There's only a couple
Sure,
for
go
this
for
episode.
it.
There's much more for the next episode. So number
Okay.
one thing was, of course, Byakuya talking to Rukia and Renji did not happen in this. Like, it almost happens like the next episode if we were thinking of the manga as the in terms of the anime being split up like the anime. It effectively happens in
Okay.
the next episode. So that doesn't happen here, but I'll talk about it here anyway because the next episode's got a lot of notes. Byakuya says, the next time I see you will be at the gallows, which I thought was a very interesting choice of word. So what was it, Shiki? What was it in the sub, did he say?
He just said the execution grounds in the sub.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
See, that makes way more sense, and that was pretty much what the dub said, something like the execution, or your execution or something. But I just thought gallows is such a particular word. That it was an interesting one to call out. Then there was a whole scene that happens immediately after it where Rukia, Renji's saying, "Don't be sad," blah blah blah, and Rukia's like, "I'm not sad," and then she starts sassing him like she usually does. She says like, "You seem awfully worried about me. When what you should be worried about are your eyebrows, Mr. Goofy tattooed eyebrow man." And then he starts shouting at her and he's like, I couldn't care less about you and your problems. Just sit there and rot. I can't wait for your execution. He just gets really angry. And as soon as he says that and he shuts the door, he like slams the door and Ruka's just sort of left by herself.
That's incredible.
I know.
That's like, oh gosh, that's me. It seems this is not the first time that we've seen Rukia use humor as a deflection and coping mechanism, and it's also not the first time that we've seen Renji lash out before. And so, like, you could almost say that in terms of the way that they both deal with conflict, Rukia dances around the issues, and Renji kind of roars and lashes out a little bit.
I see what you did there.
But it wasn't like, you want to talk about a Zanpakuto being a reflection of your energy? Like, well done, Kubo. Shout out to your consistency. That's beautiful.
It was really well done. And yeah, I think maybe she was also wanting to just prove that she was fine, rather than just saying, I'm fine. She just decides, I'm just going to keep up the level of sass I had with you before. And maybe in a way to try and, maybe she went for the jugular with the tattoo thing there because she knows that really gets to him. And so she went for it on purpose to draw out that anger in him so that maybe he doesn't get as emotionally attached, so that when she does get executed, it's less hard on him.
We saw her do that with Ichigo too a couple episodes ago when he was lying on the ground bleeding out, and she was like, "I'm above you, know your place." Creating distance between people that she knows she's going to have to separate herself from is something that she does, and I suspect she might do it to. It's a little bit backwards, but to make it easier on the people who might feel sad.
Yeah,
that's so intense.
I know, that was exactly what I thought as well. The only other differences that we had was the encroachment happens pretty much immediately. Like, I think the anime just fluffs around some of the edges a little bit and draws some stuff out, which is fine. Yoroichi in the anime says, like, "Oh, you're hopeless" to Orihime and Chad, and you're going to die like a dog when you get to the Soul Society. Yoroichi in general in the anime is a lot more whiny than they are in the manga. In the manga, they're just very direct. In the manga, he just says, "You won't last 1 minute," but that's all he says. And that comes up again in the next episode as well, where I think Yoriichi makes another appearance and whines at them, which is quite annoying.
Classic cat, TBH.
To be fair, yeah, you're right.
I know.
Tsubaki, so when Orihime finally calls her little fairies, Tsubaki, which seems to be the more predominant masculine one of the group, who's quite got a bit of an anger issue on him, calls her a hussy in the anime, and in the manga just says, "How dare you call me when you're not in trouble," but he calls her a hussy twice or 3 times in the anime, and I was like, that's not a very nice word to call a girl.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's a bit mean. Like, it just makes me like Tsubaki less, whereas in the manga, he's like, you're wasting your time, effectively. That's all he says, really. Ichigo compares this bit made me laugh, Dale. Are you ready for this, right? Oh,
I'm so ready. Hit me.
Shiki, you might be able to have either of you had your armpits waxed? Random question.
Yeah.
But, Gail?
No.
Have you not?
Nope.
Right, okay. Well, I have had my armpits waxed several times, right? And Ichigo compares the pain of enroachment to having your armpit hairs yanked out. And I was like, dude, it's not...
Is he a swimmer? Is he...
I have no clue. I was like, right, number one, how do you know that? Number two, that's not that bad. Grow a set and get over it. I was like, it's not that bad. I get that done monthly. Chill out. It's like, if that's how bad enroachment is, get up off that ground and keep running up that fucking pit. So that's such a stupid thing to whine about. Oh, anyway, that made me laugh.
That is funny. Wow, what a specific example.
Right. I was thinking, okay, that's odd. Like, guys, I think you tend to find that guys will maybe pluck nose hair or something, but I think that's usually with a maturity thing. But I was like, the pain of having your armpit hairs yanked out. How do you know? Anyway, what Ichigo does in his own time is for him to know, I suppose.
That's true.
Yeah, maybe him and Kon are secretly
so surprising.
So in the manga, we get, when we're in the hidden world, and who we later find out in episode 20 is Zangetsu, in this particular section, when Ichigo is falling, Zangetsu explains to him about the reshe in the air and how they can use it to float and step on, and that's why he's falling. So as Ichigo's falling, he's just like, see this reshe in the air, and he like breaks a piece, and he's like, this is how you've been able to stop in midair before and catch yourself in midair, as you've been using these. Now you need to use them again here to stop yourself from falling, but he doesn't. But anyway, I thought that was quite a cool moment that they should have really included, I think, in the...
Yeah, I agree. Give us that metaphysics. Give us that world building. Oof.
Yeah, exactly. But that was the only episode differences I had for this one.
Shiki, do you have sub versus dub thoughts?
So for sub versus dub, it's more of two specific instances with editing. The first one is kind of light, where in the Japanese version, when Yoruichi is acknowledging Orihime for summoning her spirits, we can hear while Tsubaki is bullying Orihime, she is in Japanese still like vocalizing her pain from the bullying while Yoruichi is talking. But in the English version, they just kind of cut out Orihime's audio when Yoruichi starts talking. But then we get into the really interesting one. When we go to Zangetsu's world. So in English, I'm going to start off with the English one because, but in the English version, we immediately hear Zangetsu say his name.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's like we hear him like say, "My name is Zangetsu." But in Japanese, it's literally kind of censored out with some kind of weird like wind, like 8-bit sound or something. So when Ichigo says he can't hear it, we can't hear it either until Ichigo actually summons Zangetsu at the end of the episode.
Yeah,
oh boy, it's been ages since I watched this in English.
Yeah, we hear it in the English, so we know, but the Ichigo doesn't. And so that, I think in that instance, I would have preferred the sub, because I'm like, well, why can't you hear it? He said it perfectly fine. Whereas it makes more sense.
I completely forgot, because I've only been watching the Japanese, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Because I was making note to make sure that I didn't say the name Zangetsu on the podcast before it was revealed to us. And so I made note of the specific time when we first heard it, and that's not until episode 20, I believe. And so, oh my gosh, so Ichigo seems like super aloof and super clueless if you're watching the dub, I guess.
Yeah, because like,
do you remember what they did in the manga, Lethan?
Hold on, actually, let me just see if I can go back and quickly find it. So
yeah,
it's when he first arrives in the world, isn't it?
Yeah. Because it's like saying it's been like, I've been calling out to you, and I guess you still can't hear me.
Okay, so let's see. Over here, who are you? Who am I? Don't you know? It's me. And then he goes, I didn't catch that. Oh, I still can't reach. Too bad. So he doesn't say it, he just says, it's me. And then there's there's a weird panel beside his name that's blacked out.
Yep.
Yeah, see
that's lovely.
You've got to curve the page around to see it.
Yeah, because it's just like in the Japanese dub, it's a kind of like Animal Crossing noise.
Yeah, no, it is. And see the chat bubble as well that he's tried to say, and not only is it blacked out, but the chat bubble is broken and fractured like glass.
Oh my
Oh.
It's
god, I
been broken
love
glass.
that.
It's really interesting. I'll need to take a picture and send it into the chat so you guys can see it.
Yeah, sick.
Hold on.
Mhm.
Please turn the line. Your call is important to me, and ignore my jammy bottoms.
Oh,
Hold on. It's on its way. 2 seconds.
you're good. Cookie Monster! Yeah, I'm not going to ignore those. Oh, cool. Cool. I'm into that.
So guys, Shiki just his computer and fan decided to just sort of conk out for a moment there, so he's now on his
We
phone
had
on
a
his lovely
domestic.
speakers. Yes.
Oh no!
So if the audio quality has changed, that's all that's happened, just in case anybody's wondering what's going on. But we've got you back, Shiki. That's the main thing, haven't we?
Yep.
There we go.
Perfect. All right, yeah. So if that's what we've got for episode 19, we can move on to the next episode. I'm finding it difficult to choose specific things to cite initially in these two episodes because we are so clearly, which actually on that note we should mention. So if anybody's watching these episodes as they're currently organized on Netflix, it's not, this is technically the end of the first season of the anime Bleach. It doesn't look that way on Netflix. It might look that way on other platforms if you're watching on Crunchyroll or Verve or anything like that. But this is the end of a season, and so if it feels like we're gearing up towards something and things are a little bit cliffhangery and a lot of action is going on all at the same time, I assume that's a deliberate choice on the part of the people who adapted the manga. But for that reason, because so much is happening, I'm so like, oh, this is happening and this is happening and we're getting this detail and this piece of world building, and so I'm looking at the whole arc of these two episodes going, oh, there's so much we could talk about. But it makes sense because we're getting ready for some big stuff real soon.
I'm excited.
I think, yeah, dude, big same. Things just get more and more exciting as the anime goes on. And one of the things that I found super thrilling about episode 20 is we get to see Kisuke fight and we get to see him release his Zanpakuto. And I'm always going to get excited when anybody releases their Zanpakuto. I mean, I also just I like Kisuke quite a lot as a character to begin with, but we got to see him wield a few of his abilities, and like I got the sense anyway that if he really wanted to mess Ichigo up, he super could, and he was making a choice to be suave and careful and selective. But yeah, I did just want to call that out, and I wanted to call out the fact that his Zanpakuto is female. He refers to his Zanpakuto Benihime, which, like Orihime, has the word for princess in it. So he's a dude, but the manifestation of his soul energy is female, evidently, which is an uncommon thing. And if not to like hammer home the pronoun conversation too much, but the fact that a person who currently uses Atashi as his pronoun of choice has a female identifying Zanpakuto feels
and
right
speaks with
to me.
hearts in the manga as well.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
I love it.
So yeah, I mean, a lot of things excited me about episode 20, but that probably excited me the most because I'm gonna get stoked every time we see Kisuke fight. So was there anything else that made you guys go, oh, this is super, super exciting to me?
I'll admit it was nice to see another Zanpakuto. I know I'm bringing up the Benihime thing as well, but it was just like we've seen one, which was Zabimaru, which was Renji's,
Mm-hmm.
and that was like that was a thing that happened, and now we're finding out that Kisuke, that is this humble shopkeeper who we knew had some stuff going on, has one too, and it's got a name. I just think that this is us. We've been slowly dipping our toes into the world, and that's what season one's all about. And you just know that with the way that this episode ended, that the next season is just going to be us dunking ourselves head first into this world.
There's
which I'm
got
very
to be.
excited for. Yeah.
Because we already know we're going to meet more Soul Reapers, and we've
Mhm.
established at this point the convention that Soul Reapers have Zanpakuto, which means there's going to be a lot of really cool powers and really, I mean, it's a shonen, right? So like
Yes.
ideally you're going to get fights unless it's, I don't know, like is Food Wars a shonen? Does that count? I don't know. But like usually
The knife and
At
the
least
carrot had a fight.
it's a shonen structurally, anyway. But we're gonna get to Soul Society, and because this is the genre, and we know what we signed up for, we've got some cool fights on the horizon. I remembered seeing Urahara and Ichigo in this like little super casual, honestly, training session, and going, oh man, if this is what a low stakes fight looks like, we've got some serious excitement in store for us coming up. Oh, I binged the first time I watched Bleach. I binged it so hard because I just wanted to take everything in, and I could not get enough.
I agree. I mean, was it this episode that we saw the introduction of Gin?
Yes.
Yes. So we got the squad. We got squad. What was it? Squad 11.
Squad 3?
And
Yeah.
Squad 3's captains in this episode. I don't know. We didn't get their names, so did we?
No, we didn't. They mentioned that they're captains. In fact, I can't remember whether they even mention which squads they're captains of. Although they do name drop Squad 9 briefly as well.
Yeah, other people do. So Byakuya points out like cowardice being a trait that he would expect of the Squad 3 captain, and he's aiming that at the person that's speaking to him, so we know he's the Squad 3 captain. And then somebody else says about, I think it's maybe Squad 3 captain mentions something about the Squad 11, and we know that the other guy is Captain Squad 11. So it's like inadvertently they're referring to each other to let us know what captains they are the squad captains of.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, and that's what I mean about those little teasers, because both of these people have they're not on screen for a very long time, or they're not on the page in the panels for a very long time. But I find that both this like big hulking spiky-haired man with bandages and a Captain Saori, as well as this like fucking weird, I'm gonna perch on this railing, I'm never gonna open my eyes and I'm gonna be cheeky as hell guy. Like they both are like, hi. Here's my personality. Do you want more? Okay. Watch more of the show very soon. Like, it's a lovely little first impression teaser moment. I
thought it was really good to get that little bit of an insight into this. Oh, it just makes you so excited for the next season though, doesn't it?
It does. And I'll also say it was nice to see Byakuya interact with these guys and be a total dick also, because it's just like, I mean, like, sure, he's clearly a dick to his sister. It's kind of unclear how he and Renji relate to each other on a day-to-day basis, because we haven't actually seen them like in an office environment, so to speak, given that their office is like something that involves training drills and swords and military. Watching him be so cold and stoic with these other people who are ostensibly his co-workers is like, oh, okay, we have an even better idea of who this stuffy asshole is now. I say that with love, by the way. Like, I'm speaking fully about first impressions of Byakuya, how Byakuya has appeared up to now. That's really all I'll say for the moment, because that's all we get of his character thus far.
I think there's a really interesting manga and anime difference of how he refers to these other captains in the manga. So with that, can I launch into these?
Yes, please.
So he refers to them, and I think it's a bit like, remember when you were talking about like the tongue-in-cheek thing before, Dell, in one of the other episodes where you were like, it was the episode when Renji and Ichigo and Uri are all fighting, and they're like,
yes.
So in this, Byakuya says it has nothing to do with you, brothers. And I get the sense that when he says it like that, it's like you're caring about my sister potentially, but because I don't know until I read more of the manga, I don't know if that's how the captains all refer to each other as like a giant family, or if he just threw that in here as a like, you seem to care more about my sister than you're perceiving me to care about. So I'm going to just fire this word at you, which I thought was quite funny.
That is funny. Oh, I'm going to keep an eye on that. That's interesting, especially considering, like, I don't think it's a spoiler to say that there are Soul Reapers live for a long time, and there are a lot of captains that achieved their captaincy at a lot of different ages, and so there are captains who are multiple thousands of years old, and then there are younger captains who are only a couple hundred years old, which is funny that they're the younger captains. But I wonder whether some of those generation gaps impact how they speak to each other as well.
Yeah, so that's definitely one for us to keep an eye out in the manga and stuff going forward. So I'll keep a note of that and let you know if it comes up again. Urahara about Ichigo. So when he's talking about Ichigo's Zanpakuto, he says it's a bloated bag of fluff that happens to be in the shape of a sword.
Oh my god, that's beautiful. I love that. I love everything about that.
It's so good, isn't it? I thought you'd like
Called
that, so I had to bring
out.
that up.
That's my boy. Oof.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. So what I would like to just say is this episode 20, is in the anime. It's wrapping up a lot of loose ends before they go to the Soul Society. In the manga, it reads a bit more structured. Like each of the scenes that involve particular characters are all together rather than jumping backwards and forwards like what the anime does. And so because of that, there are so many. Like this whole episode is different to what it's like in the manga. So I'm just going to rattle through some of the changes, but I am not going to go into loads of them in any detail because some of the scenes are just totally different altogether.
Okay,
And I'm
awesome.
just going to say, if you are interested, go and read it. Yes, so at the bottom right of some of the pages, like some of the blank white pages that are in between chapters, etc., there's like a whole sequence of people that are missing Ichigo whilst he's away training. And you've got a scene of Yuzu who's crying that Ichigo promised to play with her. I know, it's so heartbreaking. You've got a scene of Kon who's apparently living out in the street waiting for Ichigo to come back. You've got Keigo who's binge playing all of his computer games because he misses everybody.
Oh, Keigo.
I know, it's so cute. But that makes a reunion scene more like of a thing when Keigo finally does see them again. There's no scene of Yoroichi saying, I can't believe how quickly they got their powers, or Chad falling down the stairs as they were in the warehouse. Also, Orihime, I know I mentioned before that Orihime comes across as a bit more whiny in this episode, and that's because I think in the anime, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's outside waiting with them before they go into the underworld section of the shop. And he starts sort of whining at Ichigo about how didn't you know all this about your friends, blah blah blah, their spiritual pressures, blah 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 blah. None of that happens in the manga. Ichigo already knows that to expect Orihime and Chad and everybody.
Oh,
So
fascinating.
yeah. So I think Ichigo's running, like he's sprinting to Urahara and he runs into Orihime. And she's upset that she got told she has no sense of humour, same that Ichigo did at the end of that bloody message. But yeah, so there's no preachy Yoroichi moment there. Instead, Yoroichi just shows up when they're about to go through the gates, and Yoroichi's like, "I'll be the lead, like I'll be leading you through. Don't look back. Just keep going forward." Same as in the anime.
Cool.
There is a scene of. So the whole bit where Ishin is with Ichigo's friends and that whole reunion scene is 100% totally different in the manga, and I could go into all the ways in which it is. Like, we get a detailed background of how Tatsuki hurt her arm. It was a car accident, and then she took down one person in the tournament with one hand, and then she lost against the
Whoa.
next person who was apparently a gorilla. There's a whole scene of Mizuriru coming back with a tan and Keigo going mental at him. Because he's got like this great tan on him, by the way. It looks fantastic.
Is he still wearing his sleeveless suns out, guns out mom blouse in the manga?
Oh, I don't know, actually. I need to go back and have a little look and see.
I just made note of it because I thought it looked like it looked like very, I mean, I thought it looked a bit like, I guess I was wondering whether he was wearing one of his girlfriend's shirts is what it comes down to. I was like, that looks very much like
Yes, he is wearing
like
it.
mom out in the garden during the summer, like sipping on some sweet little iced tea or lemonade or kind of thing. And so
He is, and it's got hearts on it too, and he's got like a floral thing round his neck. It's very cute.
oh, it's just orange in the anime. Oh my gosh.
It's probably a bit more diverse in the manga then, but it's really good. There is the scene with Orihime and Tat and everybody. That's a little bit different in the manga. Tatsuki says, "Don't go too far away," and Orihime has this inner monologue of, "If I go somewhere where you can't find me, wait for me. I promise to come back here to be with you." And it was
Yes.
such a cute little moment for them. But that happens like Ishin is mental, by the way. I'm just going to say that Ishin like saves him seats, and him and Yuzu and Karim barrel into Ichigo and knock him over, and then it turns out all of them are drunk because a vendor
Oh
was
god.
watering his fruit juices with a sake. And
Oh
so
god.
Yuzu's really upset that Ichigo's not going to try her banana. It's like a whole thing. It's like totally different in the manga how all of these scenes happen. The bits I do want to call out that were quite different is, and this makes my skin crawl. I really didn't like this, and I'm glad they kept it out of the anime. To be honest, there's like a scene of where Squad 12 get Rukia's Gigai, and it's like all these creepy comments and like one of the older guys is like, oh, I don't care as long as I can do whatever I want to, and it's just like, it's really skin crawlingly creepy. But where it was interesting, and I think they probably should have kept this little bit in, they could have kept all the creepy comments out, but we find out that one of the guys there is called Aon, is his name, I think, is it? Am I saying that right? The guy with
Maybe.
the
Is that
little
like the
horns
younger
in his
boy?
head.
Is that who that is?
The guy that's got the little
Oh,
horns things.
yeah. Akon.
Yeah, that's Akon. Akon, yeah.
Sure.
So
Sure.
Akon, we find out his name. He's Akon, and then he says that he didn't make this ski guy. It didn't come from Squad 12. And then he spots something about it, and I think it's nothing inappropriate. He spots something about it, and he's like, whoever this is made with, whoever made this is really, really, really skilled. But the possession of this kind of skill would be reason enough to banish him forever. That's what he says, which I thought was very interesting.
that is a money shot right there.
Yeah,
oh my
that's
god. Okay.
very interesting.
Yeah. Well, and I think too that might be is that the first time that we're introduced to the concept of Squad 12 being involved with research and development?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
You get a whole bit of that in this.
Yeah, I understand why they kept it out, because in the anime they're introducing a lot and a lot of different components of Soul Society all in very quick succession, and so I think probably it could have been overwhelming for a casual viewer, but in the manga, I like that quite a lot, and I like that they're slowly teasing the differences among the squads as well. I think that's it shows that it's not just this one like analogous group of soldier people that all do the same thing. There's a lot of distinct stuff going on.
And there's so much that was different in the manga and anime that I'm just going to say go and read that chapter.
Okay, which chapter is it?
That is chapter. Give me a second. 65 onwards, I would say. Chapter 65 onwards. So Collisions, it's called, with a lovely picture of Renji smoking a cigarette.
Oh, don't smoke because it's bad for you. But what a cool ass punk.
I mean, he can't die, can he? So why not?
You know what? I never thought about that, but you're absolutely right. Ugh. Other things that I wanted to bring up from episode 20. I think the fact that Zangetsu, we're going back a little bit now, but Zangetsu, the spirit, calls out some of Ichigo's fear, and that being the reason why he can't find the name of his Zanpakuto, is both very relatable and very compelling. I like the idea that our shonen hero is being blocked by fear and has to overcome it, because without fear there can't be courage. You know, you need to be able to subvert something for bravery to actually mean something, or rather you need to be able to transcend something in order for bravery to actually mean something. So I thought that was nice. I thought it was a very humanizing moment for our lovely protagonist.
I did like that as well. I like that idea of like, you keep running away, which is why you can't hear my name. You need to stand tall, face forward, and listen.
Yep. Which is not dissimilar to what Yoruichi tells them when they're about to jump through that gate, by the way.
Exactly.
There's a lot of parallels.
How this world works, isn't it?
There's a lot of Soul Society is actually deeply propelled by forward movement. I don't think there's a whole lot of introspection or retrospection going on for anybody.
And they definitely, I was going to say, they don't learn from their mistakes, but
by and large, I do think that's true. I think they're very interested in sweeping things under the rug rather than it's like you can move forward as long as it seems clean and impressive. If it's embarrassing or uninteresting, then you just sweep it under the rug, which is the reason why, say, a squad captain might elect to kill his sister who's broken a couple rules.
Yeah, and why Rukia had no idea that the Quincy's had been wiped out 200 years before.
Yep. Absolutely. Exactly. It's exactly stuff like that. Yeah, dude. Like, some of the big problems in Soul Society are just being teased at the moment, but if you look for them, there are quite a few. Like, I don't know, as a viewer of Bleach, I'm always inclined to romanticize Soul Society a little bit, but when you break it down, there's a lot of shit going on, you know?
Oh, yeah. So to everybody listening just now, the reason why you've maybe not heard Shiki that much is because he's been dropping in and out of the conversation. He's been having some tech difficulties, but we're going to go and hopefully it stays strong whilst he gives us some of those sub and dub differences.
And if not, we're going to have to give his
Yes.
computer to Squad 12 and see if they can do anything reasonable with it.
All right. So for the first major difference that I noticed, this was when Byakuya was talking to our spiky-haired squad captain. In English, when Byakuya tells him, or basically makes the comment of like, "Oh, since when have you been so knowledgeable about noble society?"
Mm.
In English, he says that he's always been a keen observer. But in Japanese, he says, ever since I was a kid, I was always the sensitive one.
Oh, that's different. That's not in the manga. The manga is observing thing as well.
Yeah, so he was like, and just to show you how sensitive I am, I'll even help you by killing your sister before her execution date if you'd like.
Oh.
And then,
Yeah, because that's sensitive.
I wonder if to him sensitive means bloodthirsty, because most words may or may not mean bloodthirsty for that guy.
and then as just like a general note of clarification for language, in English, when Urahara states the name of Benihime, he explains that it means red princess to the English-speaking audience. However, while that is an accurate translation, a more accurate translation would be crimson princess, because Benny means like a deep, dark red or crimson.
Yeah, and then when he busts out that blood mist spray later, you're like, oh, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of bloodthirsty, whew.
Yeah, and the last major difference that I noticed was in Japanese, or well, I guess this one's more English, but in the English one, when he's talking about going over to the Soul Society and not getting trapped, in Japanese he says, "Don't get trapped. You're going to get trapped in the world in between ours and the Soul Society." But in English, he specifically calls it the Dangai. In Japanese, he does not mention its real name at that point.
Yeah, cool. Because I guess in the English, I mean, there's because Dongai is a word that is specific to Bleach. Translating that in a way that also matches lip flaps probably would have been complicated, and so I imagine they were like, "Let's just name drop this now. We know we're gonna name drop it later anyway."
Yeah,
makes sense.
Nice.
And that's all I got for differences.
Sick. I also do just want to acknowledge the fact that Kisuke just literally snaps his fingers, and this gate pops up. What?
Yeah.
What?
He's so cool. He's so cool.
That is some next level noise right there, man. Like, I've said it before, but Kisuke and Tessai and their ilk are... It's just been sort of touched on. They can do some powerful stuff, and it's super casual. And every time there have just been so many little moments going back and watching these episodes again where I'm like, whoa, you can do that thing casually, and that thing casually, and that thing casually, and it's actually very impressive.
And I would just like to point out as well, something I took a note of actually as Shiki was going over the sub and dub differences, because I didn't think about it until now, is we got introduced to these two other captains, right? So we know that Byakuya is a stoic, law-abiding, proud man. And we've now met two other captains, one of which seems very bloodthirsty and up for a fight. And so that might be telling us a bit about his character and what we can expect from him. And the other, who appears to be your best friend. Interesting. Is only there because he cares. Interesting.
What a solid dude.
Yeah. So that may be telling us just a little bit about what we can expect from both of these characters going forward.
Yeah. You know that thing where there are some animals that will only close their eyes around you if they trust you a lot? It's probably that.
Yeah.
Probably that.
Funny.
Foxy gentleman. Ugh. Sick. I mean, I definitely have a couple more things that I could bring up about episode 20, but they're mostly just minor things, like little details that I thought were cool. This timing is actually brilliant because by the time it's the end of episode 20 and they're preparing to leave for Soul Society, they cite first that it's the 1st of August and then eventually that it's the 8th of August, which, for all of our listeners, that's the date that we're recording this. So happy something anniversary to the year that, to the date that all of these folks decided decided to skip town and go rescue their friend.
We got something right in the podcast for sure.
Yeah, it's about damn time.
Fuck's sake, yeah, I know.
Oof! Now that we've slogged our way through these jam-packed episodes, let's hit the real world for all of 2 seconds. Anything going down and delving into the Dongai?
So, as far as news goes, we have had an interesting revelation from Weekly Shonen Jump manga. Burn the Witch, the Western happening in the UK area equivalent of the Bleach universe, is going to be serialized in Weekly Shonen Jump on August 24th. It'll be 4 chapters long, but we're thinking that's going to be pretty long chapters because the first chapter is going to be 57 pages.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
excited.
exciting.
That'll be good. That
And
will be good. I
that's-
need to get caught up with that whole universe, to be honest. So I'm excited to start reading it.
Yeah, I've sort of so I read the chapter when it first came out, that teaser for Burn the Witch that came out. Oh boy, more than a couple years ago now, right? That's been around for a minute. I don't remember, but when I decided to splurge and I got the Jet art book when it was first released because I was like, I think if I miss this opportunity, I'm gonna kick myself. And they came with a small, lovely bound and printed, and mostly there were some colored panels and stuff of Burn the Witch, but it was in Japanese. So is the Jet art book, but that didn't stop me. But it's just nice to open something and see Kubo's art style again, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Agreed.
Also, in terms of real world news, kind of, sort of, not really, but I did just want to call out that shortly after this episode drops, it'll be the 4-year anniversary of the end of Bleach, pretty much. August 22nd, 2016 was the day that Chapter 686 was released. And August 4th was the date that Chapter 685 was released, and that date is burned forever into my memory, and I cry every year, so that's pretty chill. It's been 4 years since the manga ended, and time flies, and the world is wild in that way. So, happy anniversary to the end of Bleach, I suppose. Should we boogie on to our Shinigami Cup Peroxide edition?
Yeah, let's go for it.
So, Shiki, who loves going first more than anything in this life, I know we keep calling you out on that, dude, but
It's so great.
you don't have to go first.
Yeah, he does.
We gotta commit to the bit. So,
Yep.
Shiki, for you, who wore it best this time?
So I'm going to have to actually try and remember what I put down because all my notes for that are on the computer. And as we know, my computer is currently in the Dongai, probably trying to find its way one place or the other.
Would you like us to just go, and if you think of one, you can pop it in, and if not, then it's fine. We could just move on. So there's not too much pressure.
You guys go ahead.
Yeah, what was yours?
Ooh, mine was literal this time. So mine was the Kurosaki family wearing all of their summer festival clothes, their traditional clothes to the fireworks display. Because I really like it when I love it when we see people who wear traditional clothes wearing like a sick Western style suit or something. But I also love it when we see people who normally wear like shorts and a t-shirt wearing a yukata or something. I think it's very nice. So I thought they all looked really sweet together.
Oh, that's so cute. See, yours is really sweet, and then you come into mine. Mine's...
Can't wait.
Anyway, mine is Renji and his look of incredulity at the decision made by Central 46.
That was very like, like classic anime reaction moment.
Yes, it was. And I'm also like, dude, did you not mention this at one point that this could eventually be her punishment? So why are you looking so like struck with it? And
circling back to last episode though, when I was like, what was going on here? And you cited, Renji didn't think this was an actual possibility. Watching this episode now, I was like, oh my gosh, Lethan was absolutely right. Rukia may have considered it, but Renji definitely didn't think Byakuya was actually going to pull the trigger, and now here we are.
With the proof in the pudding, yeah. So that was my who wore it best.
Shiki, do you have a who wore it best?
Yes, so for my who wore it the best, that would be Ichigo wearing the hollow mask to the side, because I thought that was just like a nice little artistic touch.
It was.
Yeah, because like rather than completely just throwing it away.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. I quite liked that as well. I thought it was really cute. I mean, to be fair, I didn't really think much of it until you guys started talking about it, and now as I'm thinking back on the episode, I was like, oh yeah, cool. That's quite cool.
It kind of shows that he's still sort of a child in his own way as well. I mean, he is still only 15. Cool. So next, do we have best ship thoughts?
Well, I go first then, since Shiki's potentially still
Yeah,
writing his, yeah.
great.
Yep.
I put I put Zangetsu in his wrap because Ichigo's sword before was it was like the length of his body. Now, to anybody that knows the sizes of swords and realizes that this is a problem, if you're trying to pull, like, a sword has to be measured to your arm, not your body, to your arm. Otherwise, you cannot pull it from its sheath. So Ichigo would need like arms the size of his body to pull that old Zanpakuto from its sheath. So that never made sense, ever, from a
no.
biological perspective. However, Zangetsu has this lovely wrap around him, and that's better. So yeah, my ship is Zangetsu and his wrap.
I like that. I like that quite a lot. It's very technical, and that's...
Yeah, it makes more sense.
Yeah.
And that's coming
And now
from
I'm
a
like, oh, I
Scotswoman.
get why Zangetsu was wrapped instead of sheathed. Yeah, totally.
Yes, because like in Scotland we have claymores, which are big, massive broadswords, and
Yo,
they aren't
true.
sheathed because of that particular reason. I mean, you could put it in a sheath, but try to get it out of one, it would take a very large man.
Yep. Oh man. Yeah, cool. So my ship is kind of like, just, it was a bit of like a slow burn romance this time, I would assert. This is just Kisuke and his sense of humor, because we get to, he's this like mysterious shadowy dude when we first meet him, and then by the time episode 20 ends and he's leaving that message in not blood on the wall, he's such a good mentor, and he genuinely gives Ichigo the training he needs, but he's super lighthearted about it, and he's a total doof. He's a big dork, and I love that about him.
When he's not trying to murder him.
Yeah, thank you. This is what I'm saying. This is the content that we all appreciate. What do you think, Shiki?
For my best ship, that would have to be Ichigo and both Jinta and Ururu's drool.
Oh
One
god!
day, maybe they will meet.
Ew. I mean, great choice, Shiki. I really liked that.
No, I'm not even pretending. That was just wrong in so many levels.
Ugh. The youths. On that charming, delightful note that we were all really happy about, let's move on to our double take, shall we?
Shiki, you got one for this, or do you want me to go first?
Yeah, I got one for this one. This one is, my double take was actually the difference in sub and dub when Zangetsu actually said his name at first in English, because I was like, whoa, he didn't say that in Japanese. So I had to actually go back to the sub and re-listen to that bit to be like, yeah, I didn't think he said that.
That's a good one. I put just because it made me laugh so much that I was like, it was like a joke that when I thought about it, it made me chuckle. Was Jinta's I preferred the old one when he's talking about the sword. He's like, what is that sword? It's like this piece of shit. It's not even got a sheath. It's not even got a hilt. I like the old one. It's like,
yes,
that's quite funny. It's really good.
My double take involves Jinta as well, but it also involves Ururu and mostly Kisuke.
Not the spit.
There's a moment. No, it's not the fucking spit. I hated that. If you think I'm gonna go back and watch that again, no, hard pass. No, this was a moment that we actually didn't mention when we were talking about the episode, where when Ichigo is rising up from the, ye old pit of despair, and there's a big shockwave, there's a massive thing of energy that just comes blowing out and mowing down everything in the area, and Kisuke shields Ururu and Jinta with his body, and I was like, yes, Dad! Like, I know that's not literally the relationship that has been established here, but because I can't see the Urahara as anything but this lovely domestic family that just happens to be super high-powered, I thought it was super touching, the fact that Kisuke, who probably had a good sense for how much danger everybody was actually in anyway, but like, the fact that was his instinct was really endearing to me, and I just really liked it.
That is a parental instinct, though. They say that. See, when a fire alarm goes off, the first thing that a mother will look to is her child. That's where that comes from.
Yeah, and I can totally see that from Kisuke, yeah.
Yeah, he's protecting his kids. I mean, obviously we don't know their actual relationship, but like in our heads, he's protecting the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Is that everything for this week?
I think so, yeah.
All right,
I would
fabulous.
just, can I just give one last call out as well that the manga does a
I
such a,
guess.
I'm so sorry. The
No,
manga
that's
does
okay. That's okay.
a better job at tying up these little loose ends that the anime seems to just leave threaded. Like, for example, Kon appears down before they go through the gate, and Ichigo says to him, "Look after my family." Ichigo has a conversation with his dad before he leaves to say that he's leaving. Just little things like that that the anime just glosses over, like the family are just expected to know he's gone. But the manga does a better job at all this, so definitely I would recommend to people to check the manga out.
Nice. Yeah,
That's all
you
I've
do
got
get
to
little
say.
details in the manga, and that's it's nice to go back and like I feel like you get to know the characters a little bit better sometimes.
Yeah.
And by sometimes I mean always actually when
Always.
you read the original source. So that's super nice. Cool. Thank you for mentioning that.
No problem.
Amazing. So thank you for listening to this episode, everybody. That's the end of yet another one. If you liked what you heard and you want to get involved, you can find us by searching for TheSeireitei on Tumblr and on Instagram and TSeireitei on Twitter. Each of these platforms will link you to our fantastically deadly Discord family where you can chat with us about the show, read fan fiction, take part in creative challenges, and talk anything and everything Bleach. Now, Ichigo and Rukia might reap souls, but we are hoping to reap some 5-star reviews, and that is where you all come in. Make like our favorite orange-haired protector and go to iTunes to rate us and review us and make us feel like number one. And to those of you listening on YouTube, don't forget to be like Chad and give us that good thumbs up. We really do appreciate it. So, on the next episode of the podcast, we, wait for it, are going to be dropping our long-awaited spoiler episode. We've been super excited about this for a long time. So for those of you who, like us, have seen Bleach before, have read the manga, maybe even finished it all the way out to the end, maybe not, this is the time when we can finally let loose, not be cagey about a single gosh darn thing, delve deeply into meta and theories and foreshadowing and characters that we have come to know and love over the years, but who we've had to be a bit conservative about so far, so that folks who haven't seen the anime yet can still come with us on this journey. So we're just, I speaking for myself, I'm really excited to record this episode and to talk with you guys about all of the little things that I've picked up watching Bleach through again, having stepped away from it for a couple of years and having finished the manga and everything. So I think it's going to be a really good time. And if like us, you're big fans of Bleach, I really hope you'll join us for that spoiler episode. I think it's going to be so much fun. Until then, everybody, stay safe. Have a great week. We'll see you guys when we finally get to talk spoilers. Stoke time. Till next time, everybody. Bye.
Bye.